A year ago, I bought the cheapest pressure cooker on Amazon. We use this thing at least twice a week, and in the past year, we've canned over 50 gallons worth of canned goods with this thing. I'm very happy and thoroughly impressed by how well it's worked out for our family on our homestead. I am blown away with just how durable and how well it's held up, even with how much use I've thrown at this thing. I'm very happy with it, and I recommend it to all my friends and family. If anybody who's looking for just a basic stovetop pressure cooker, this is the one I recommend for just about every use you're gonna want it for. Hi there, this is Jordy from Northern Homesteading, helping you to be successfully self-sufficient. There's a few points involved in maintenance and operation, and I'll cover those. The reason I really went with this one was because of price. I had two main concerns when I was looking at pressure cookers. Number one was I didn't know a darn thing about a pressure cooker. And number two, I didn't have a whole lot of money to put into them. I couldn't afford the $200 or $300 models that some of the people were recommending to me. And I didn't really want to jump in that deep at first anyways, not knowing anything about them. So after doing a ton of research, I took what I figured was a little gamble and bought the cheapest one I could get on Amazon. That's the Presto 6-quart pressure cooker. This is an aluminum pressure cooker, but it's also available in a stainless steel model, and there's no real difference between the two. It would be whatever you like better. So how do I use my Presto pressure cooker? The 6-quart Presto pressure cooker is very much your standard pressure cooker. Nothing too special about it. I can take whatever I want to cook normally, whatever I would cook in a pot on the stove. I can cook in the pressure cooker. Anything that can steam, I would cook in the pressure cooker. Just put my meats or vegetables, or if I'm going to make a soup, put all the ingredients in here, add the water, add at least a few inches of water to it. I'm going to put the lid back down, make sure the weight's in place, put it on the stove, and turn the stove on high. As soon as it pressures up, you know it pressures up when the safety valve shoots up and closes, and when it starts rocking back and forth on the weight and steam starts coming out. Once you get the steam coming out of the steam vent in the top, ease back on the temperature a little bit, back down to more of a medium heat till you get a nice mild, gentle rocking, a little slower steam coming out, but you still want steam constantly coming out. If you have it coming out much more vigorously, it's not going to be a hotter or higher temperature inside. You're just going to be getting rid of all your steam too quickly, and you really run the risk of cooking dry and burning whatever you've got in the pressure cooker. Pressure cookers generally go about twice as fast as normal cooking in a pot on the stove. You have to warm them up before they really start to get pressured, and that can take 5 to 10 minutes for the Presto 6-quart cooker to get up to temperature and up to pressure, depending on how much stuff you have in it, 5 to 10 minutes. And once it hits that full pressure mark is then when you start your timer. All the recipes in the recipe book have a timer associated with them. Generally, it's going to be between 2 and 5 minutes for most things that you're cooking. Once you get it up to pressure, and it's at that 250-degree mark, which is full pressure in this pressure cooker. Once you get it up to pressure, most things will cook within 1 to 3 minutes. Some things are going to be more like the 5 to 7 minute mark, but almost everything is going to be 1 to 3 minutes. There are a few things, certain types of beans, for example, certain types of dried beans, they can take a very long time to pressure cook. You can cook some of those for 20 or even 30 minutes sometimes. That's really case specific though. That's why you got to read through the directions here. They come with the best techniques to cook everything. You got to check in the directions. Pressure cookers cook faster than a normal pot, about twice as fast, and they tenderize everything a little, make everything nice and soft and tender. Now, I'll tell you why I recommend this thing to all my friends and family and anybody who's asking. Number one is it's a great price. Number two is it works for both pressure cooking and pressure canning. We do a lot of pressure canning. There's some pumpkins here. This thing will fit 4 pint jars in it, which is not a lot, but it's enough to really start, and you can really build up how much you're cooking. If you just do that a couple times a week with 4 pints, it really builds up your storage. It'll also fit some quart jars. Not this one here. This is a particular, this one's a Kerr. I think it's one of the older ones too. It's taller than some. These shorter quart jars are the ones that it fits. It will not fit the taller ones. Now depending on, there's so much variance in the size of jars over the past however many decades that I have jars from, and different manufacturers. I can fit, depending, either 2 or 3 quarts in here and still get the lid closed proper and do my pressure canning like I did with these pickles. But some brands I can only get 2 of them in here because they're a little bit wider jars, which is kind of annoying, but there's not that perfect of a standard, so I guess I have to work with it. This pressure cooker comes with a little canning rack to sit in the bottom if you want to use that for canning. You can't do any pressure canning in your pressure cooker without having some kind of a canning rack or some sort of trivet system, which basically all that means is it keeps the cans from touching the bottom of the pot. If they're right on the bottom, the jars, if they're right on the bottom, they get too much direct heat and the bottom of the jar will crack out and break. So if you are going to do some pressure canning, you have to use the pressure canning rack or something else similar. I know sometimes I just use a small metal dish in the bottom, turned upside down, to hold the jars off the bottom of the pot, and that works too. This thing comes with a few safety features that are pretty common on a lot of the modern pressure cookers, but not on the older ones. A lot of Grandma's old pressure cooker stuff, they don't come with a lot of these safety features. Now, this has a safety switch on it, safety lock. If you are using this thing that's pressured up, you can't open it until it's cooled down and pressured down. That safety lock, you can hear that click. Sometimes, that's why sometimes I have to kind of wiggle it a little to get it to shut, because I got to get that little safety lock to get in position. It's a little annoying kind of putting together sometimes, but it's really great peace of mind knowing that I can't open this if it's on the stove pressured up, and that if I walk away from my 3-year-old isn't going to go play with it, open it up and blow hot steam and boiling water all over the kitchen, because you can't open it when there's pressure in it. You have to either just let it cool down by itself or take the weight off and let it vent out. This has the overpressure vent plug. This thing is kind of weird looking because I can pop it out right now, but when the pressure cooker's heated up and pressured up, that plug, it's a rubber plug, it softens up and expands and presses up really good. It seals great so you don't get any leaking steam, but it also won't let you get too much pressure in these things. Some of the old pressure cookers were way overbuilt, and that is what potentially made them dangerous back in the day. They could hold dangerous levels of pressure. This thing is designed for 15 pounds of pressure, which is the standard pressure rating, the max you want for canning and any pressure cooking according to the USDA. And the little rubber plug in here will actually pop right out if you get to about 17 pounds of pressure. It'll just pop right out and all the steam will vent out quickly but controllably. And then you're going to have to go find the plug and put it back in later and redo your stuff. It can only overpressure and pop out if you get the vent tube plugged up, really, if it's not steaming proper. We got the steam vent up here. You've got to check it every time you use it just to make sure it's clean. So just hold it up to the light and look through it. If you see some crud in there, you can either just put your mouth on it and kind of blow it a little. That's not the recommended method, but that works. Or I'll use the little wire twisty tie off of a bread wrapper, or I'll just use a pipe cleaner and just stick it right through there, and that'll do it. You also got to watch these little holes in the sides that will need cleaning now and then, just like that, and just pop it through. Make sure your pipe cleaner doesn't leave too many fuzzies though. So there is some basic assembly that you have to do with this when you first get it. All you got to do is put the handles on. It takes just a regular screwdriver. There's 2 screws for the lid handle, and the lower level of the pot has 1 screw for each handle. Tighten them up snug, but don't really kill it because you'll end up stripping out the screws. They're a soft head screw, so you'll end up stripping them out instead of digging too deep into the aluminum. It's got just a basic modern style pressure cooker seal. It's more of it kind of looks like it's more of a silicone latex. I don't know. It's black and kind of rubbery. It works great. It actually has a pretty long shelf life, but the manufacturer does recommend that the seal and the overpressure plug there be replaced about every 2 years. However, I will say that people who own the Presto pressure cookers generally say that even up to the 5-year mark, there's no trouble with the original seals and the original rubber overpressure plug. Still, manufacturer recommends you replacing them every 2 years, probably just to make sure that it never gets old on you. And maybe they like to sell a few extra seals too, I suppose. Yeah, maybe. Well, this is a great pressure cooker. If you want to do any pressure cooking or pressure canning, this thing is very durable. The handles aren't too weak, they're not too shoddy. I was worried about the handles breaking because it's such a cheap pressure cooker. This thing was 20 bucks. And because they kind of look like a more brittle style plastic, but I've been pretty rough on this thing and they've held up very great. Very, very good. Now, this weight is a one-piece weight. It's got one setting, and that's 15 psi, 15 pounds of pressure. The pressure cooker also comes with a cool little cookbook. This is a cookbook and instructions. It tells you everything from basic operations to how to put the handles on, how to check the seal and see if it's good, how to clean it, soap and water. Use a pipe cleaner if you need to clean out the little steam hole. It's got a lot of great recipes. My wife loves these recipes and she cooks with them a lot actually. It's got great time charts and timetables for pressure cooking in here. And there's a list of things that you're not supposed to pressure cook. For example, a lot of the dried grains, you got to be careful with those just because things like beans, peas, and dried grains, they expand so much when they cook that you don't want to overfill your pressure cooker. Generally with things that expand a lot, you're only going to fill them up to halfway. And there's a halfway line inside the pressure cooker. You got to leave room for them to expand up, and that way you still have room for the steam to get out the steam vent without that being plugged up with froth and food particles. For everything else, you fill it up to the 2/3 way, and there's a higher mark in there for the 2/3 mark. There are some foods that you really shouldn't pressure cook, and those are listed in here too. I know one of the things that was kind of dangerous at times to pressure cook is like a rhubarb, because that tends to cause a really, really heavy frothy foam, and that foam will build up in the pressure cooker and not let the steam escape, and then you'll get foam shooting out the steam vent and it'll make this nasty mess all over your kitchen. That's all in here in the guide. Ooh, that looks good. Got some great recipes in here. My wife loves these things. This is a great pressure cooker. If you guys have any questions about these, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you click the like button. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks for coming over to my channel at Northern Homesteading. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye now.